We're going to cross over to London, joined by publisher and editor of First Politics, Dr. Marcus Papadopoulos. Thank you so much for being with us. What is exactly going on with the situation? On the one hand, with the ISIL Takfiris, it's almost this, on the one hand, some regions they take and then they lose it. But we're seeing almost regular, at least 1,000 people in Iraq being killed every month. What is going on and what will it take to stop the carnage?
Well, those figures are deeply shocking and deeply distressing. And it's another reminder to the region and to the world of the consequences, the disastrous consequences of the led invasion of Iraq. The Americans invaded Iraq, then ISIS would not have been born. But let's be clear about it. What is happening in Iraq is also a result of Western and Saudi and Turkish and Qatari interference in Syria. ISIS only emerged as the potent force that it is today because the West and its regional allies, in particular Saudi Arabia, weakened the Syrian government so much that it paved the way for numerous Islamist groups to emerge in the country. And those Islamist groups, they started to fall out, and then they started to create a base for ISIS in the country, hence why ISIS is such a lethal force in Syria and a lethal force in Iraq. That is the reality of the situation. The root of ISIS, like the root of Al-Qaeda, goes to Washington and it goes to Riyadh. And if you want to tackle ISIS and all the other Islamist groups in Syria and also in Iraq, you have to starve all the Islamist groups of support, weapons, financial support and political support. And that will involve America and its allies in the region, in particular Saudi Arabia, doing that. And quite frankly, they're not going to do it. The Americans and the Turks announced last week that they will start training Islamist militants to fight in Syria. There goes any hope for peace in Syria and any hope for peace in Iraq.
Well, what will it take? You've just said that basically neither the United States nor Turkey nor Saudi Arabia are actually going to do what it's going to take for ISIL to basically dissipate because, of course, as you've pointed to, that they were part of the problem in the creation of it to begin with. So what does it mean? What does it mean for this region of the world? How do we basically get control over this situation that has started from the invasion of Iraq by the United States and continues today, as we have just said, more than 1,000 people, one more time, killed in Iraq last month?
Yes, you're absolutely right. And I would answer that by saying, in short, what does it mean? It means more bloodshed and further violence in the Middle East as a whole. And let's just be clear about it as well, that yes, the Americans and their allies are now bombing ISIS or IS in Iraq and in Syria. Well, that's all very well. But at the same time, they're the ones that paved the way for ISIS to become the potent force that it is in the Middle East and now in North Africa. But also, they are backing other Islamist groups in Syria. For example, the Free Syrian Army. For example, the Islamic Front. For example, Al-Nusra. Now, you know, extremists are extremists and Islamists are Islamists. They're playing with fire in Syria because they're sticking to their objective, the Americans and the Saudis, of trying to remove President Assad, who's the legitimate leader of Syria, and trying to remove the Syrian government, which is the legitimate government of Syria. So yes, they can bomb ISIS, but they're part of the problem because they created it and they're not acknowledging it, but also at the same time they're supporting other Islamist groups there.
All right, thank you so much for being with us out of London. Publisher and editor of First Politics, Dr. Marcus Papadopoulos.